Has just rung the bell, so I will light the Christ candle to begin our service. We ring the bell and we light the candle to remind us that the Christ light shines in each and every one of us to remind us of our divinity. You will find the opening statement on the inside of your bulletin, and if you would repeat that with me, together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And sit with the truth of that statement for just a moment. And now repeat it with me once more. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And so it is. So our songs this morning are led by Jim and accompanied by Jeff. Oh, and it looks like Nancy Lynn is coming up. Yay.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me all right? August marked my second year here, so I'm in my third year. And our opening song, Surely the Presence, often comes to my mind. It wants me to do something with it. Other than what we've been doing. Nothing wrong with the tradition and the standard thing. So last night, I succumbed to its calling and sat down and kind of reimagined. So what I want to do now is I'm going to play the guitar through one verse. Then Jeff's going to come in with me on the second verse. And then you guys can stand and we'll sing it through the two verses. Now, there's one little addition I made to it that you'll catch. You'll catch it. So just kind of sit with it for a minute, and let's try this. Stand and join us. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel love's mighty power and love's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence, surely the presence, surely the presence of love is is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel love's mighty power and love's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on His face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence, surely the presence, surely the presence of love is in this place. Yeah. All right. Very good. In our book, the hymn book, 122, please.
Well, I love it when we have new songs. It gives us a chance to spread our wings a little bit. So welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley on Sunday, November 16th. For announcements today, we are having a potluck after the service, so everyone is invited to come downstairs and share some food. Doesn't matter if you brought anything, there's always plenty. Also, after the services every Sunday, you can pop into our Zoom room and you can participate in a lively discussion about what was said here with those who watch us electronically. In that same Zoom room on Thursday evenings, they are studying the book by Eric Butterworth, A Quest for Truth. That's at 8 o'clock. And then we need you to save the dates. We'll be decorating the church for Christmas on November 30th from 9:30 to 12:30. Let's see here. Now, we are also collecting gifts for the Sojourners Shelter. Once the tree is put up, that will happen November 30th, then bring in your wrapped toys for the Sojourner Shelter. Just put a little sticker on the toy that says the gender and the age category, and those will be delivered to Sojourners on December 22nd. Now, our candle lighting service will be here on Wednesday, December 11th at 7 p.m. We do need volunteers to help us light the candles and to put the smaller candles in their protective holders so we don't get wax all over the pews. Okay, we're also going to have the Solstice Concert on December 19th. That's a Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And I have been told that on December 7th, from 1 to 3, down in the activity room, there is going to be a cookie exchange. So bring a few dozen of your favorite cookies in, and you can exchange with others and just have a wonderful variety of cookies for the holiday season. And we'll find out more about that as time goes on. Now, December 6th is the first Friday of December, and on the first Friday of the month, we have a family fun night. And this time, this December 6th from 6 to 8:30, there will be a white elephant gift exchange. So find something there at home that you'd like to re-gift to someone, a white elephant, if you will, and bring it here to exchange for somebody else's white elephant. And there will be hors d'oeuvres, and if you haven't seen this flyer, it's up here. Grab one. The list of hors d'oeuvres is amazing. Now, we can only handle 30 attendees, so please respond by December 3rd. There is no charge for this, but love offerings are accepted. Okay. And we have, well, I've got one copy of it left. Of the Unity booklet, Be Not Afraid. This is an Advent booklet. There's a daily reading starting December 1st, and it goes clear through the 12 days of Christmas. So after Christmas, each day, starting December 26th, is devoted to one of the 12 powers. So this is an excellent daily reading. If anybody wants this copy, doesn't have it already, okay, it'll be up here for whoever wants to enhance their holiday experience. Now, we do have a first-time visitor here, and I'm told Becky Bush is visiting us from Parkersburg. If you give us a wave, let's give a welcome to Becky. And I see Ann is here. I haven't seen Ann for a while, but you've been here before, right, Ann? Well, wave to us, and let's give Ann a nice welcome. Anyone else that I've missed? Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to invite Peggy up because she has something to show us. Oh, it's a duo. It's a duo. Now, who's taking the mic?
Me.
Okay.
This is my job. Okay. Y'all ready? Wait a minute. Okay, so much for the strip show in church. And Danny. That's right. Christmas is coming. We want to be dressed alike. The sizes range from kids, medium, 2 extra large. There's only 1 extra large in kids. And adults, there's 2 smalls, because I don't know, we're not all small. Let's see, we have mediums, larges, extra large 2XL, and 1 3XL. The cost is $25, cash, check, or PayPal. And they're in the activity room, not the activity room, but the library. So I'll take the cloth off the table and you can see them as you go out. How about that? Thanks, Janet. Oh, okay. Barbie's doing the thingy here.
Sure. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley. I'm Barbie Dahlman. I am not a stripper in real life. I am the treasurer of the Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the board, I want to thank you for being here this morning. To all of you who are here in the room, to all of you who are on Zoom, and a special welcome to those who take the time to go and listen to the YouTube recording. What I know is that could happen tomorrow, the next day, next week, next month. I have had people 2 years down the road call me and say, thank you for that message. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do that and to give us your feedback. Our goal here at Unity is to provide a positive path for spiritual living. And we come together here each week to help create and nurture a welcoming community of love, acceptance, and spiritual growth. So that means that you are welcome to come just as you are. You don't have to be you don't have to put on a facade. You don't have to be any different than you to show up here. Through prayer and teaching and service, we affirm our connection to our source. And we strive to consistently make choices that show love, not only to one another, but also to ourselves. It's our hope that while you're here, you'll find a safe place to explore this belief as well as those that you hold dear. As you listen to our 3 speakers this morning, we invite you to take with you whatever messages resonate and simply let the rest go. Today, our 3 members, Marianne Gettman, Sally Snyder, and Harry Mills, will be sharing their stories of how they found their way to Unity. And each of them will tell you the teachings and principles that have been especially meaningful to them. And then afterwards, we're gonna go downstairs for a potluck. You can continue to ask them questions, and maybe that'll get more stories going. And this is something that we'd like to do once a month, so we can get to know each other a little bit better. So I have speakers already lined up for December, but if this seems interesting to you, and I will probably be asking every member at some time to sign up for one of those Sundays. Now, affirmative prayer is a central part of what we're about here. So let's practice that right now. If you feel comfortable doing so, please close your eyes or soften your gaze. Relax your body and place your hand on your heart. And repeat after me. This is my heart. Through it, I am connected to my neighbor, to my source, and to myself. I am willing to trust it in all things, and I am grateful. Okay, if you could please stand up, maybe stretch a little, start moving your bodies, and turn to someone that's here, give a warm welcome, a smile, especially if somebody's sitting alone. We'll just take a few minutes to say hi. know, we could do this all day. We're going to do this after the service downstairs. This is the time that we want to express some gratitude. So join with me as we thank everyone who's made this service possible. Not so loudly, please. I want to thank my fellow board members. Laura, Mary Beth, Sally, David, Amy, and Phil for their time and dedication to help guide this church. And thanks to the AV team, Amy and Danny and Rich and Chris and Ernie for facilitating our journey into the Zoomiverse. And to Jim and Jeff for sharing their musical talents with us today. Thanks to our prayer chaplains, as well as the many behind-the-scenes volunteers. Now, I would like, if you've ever volunteered to do anything during the service, like everything from the offering plates to reading the daily word, anything, raise your hand. If you've ever done it, now look around. Okay, do you see how many people it takes to make this happen? Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see, thanks to our daily word reader, Nancy Lynn. And did we have a junior bell ringer? Yes. Colton, thank you, Colton. And now, for today's prayer, I ask the prayer chaplain to come forward. Is that you, Janet?
That's me.
I forgot to fill that out.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot.
Oh, okay. Whoops. So let's prepare for a time of meditation. Just take a few deep breaths. Allow yourself to center into the God within. This is our source of spiritual strength. Our thoughts are calmed as we enter the sanctuary of silence within. Spirit is peaceful and free. Easily, gracefully, release what has passed. You are free in this moment for all that is possible now. Entrust that the helpful, useful content has carried over into the present. Rest in spiritual peace and freedom. Open your mind to divine inspiration and follow divine direction. Wise thoughts flow as answers to your heart's desires. Courageously, you are attuned to divine inspiration, confident and sure with every step. Never are you without a sense of direction, for everywhere you are, God is. You are inspired. Every atom of your being is invigorated with healing life. A universal, eternal pattern for life is at the core of your body and being. Vital, divine life is natural to you. You are ever one with God, the source of life. You champion your vitality. With every word of strength, you speak to every atom of your being. You are prospered by divine love. The prospering power of divine love is your rich inner resource. Love is within you. Love flows from you. Led by love, you feel full and fulfilled. Whether giving or receiving, leading or following, abundant love is yours. You are an emissary of peace and harmony in the world. From a core of spiritual strength, you are a steady presence of peace and harmony. Vigilant with your thoughts, you transform any inner discord into peace. Words of inspiration, encouragement, and support flow from your peace-filled mind to bless others. You love the world into peace and harmony. As we breathe, renewed and refreshed, we proceed by spiritual strength to fulfill the purpose of divine wisdom, life, and love. We agree to live based upon realizations arising from our time of going within. Gratefully, we remind ourselves of the truth of our being. I am love. I am light. I am peace. And so it is. Amen.
That was beautiful. The daily word for today is prosperity. I release worry and know prosperity. Perhaps the greatest gift of a prosperity consciousness is freedom from worry. It is knowing that as a divine being, I can draw from an infinite storehouse of divine ideas and prosper myself in infinite ways. This awareness helps me keep the things of the world in proper perspective. Like anyone, I will know times of plenty and times of lack. Understanding my prosperity as a spiritual truth and not the quality or number of my belongings or the amount of money I have in the bank gives me agency to direct my life. I am prosperous. As I affirm this truth again and again, I grow richer in divine ideas, the building blocks of everything on earth. And from the Bible, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Matthew chapter 6, verse 25.
This is what you get for Ron being out of town, is that you have to deal with me. Going to happen today, so there's this other song, so we'll do that one. I was living my life, getting along, looking for somewhere I'd belong. It must have been a happy accident that landed me here. And there you were, you took me in. It didn't matter who'd I'd been. I became a different person, and I don't have a clue what I'd have done if I hadn't met you. If I hadn't met you, I'd never know a friendly smile can help your troubles melt away. I'd never know that sometimes nothing is the perfect thing to say. I'd never know the hidden confidence you found inside of me. If I hadn't met you, I don't know who I'd be. I'll admit, at times I drive you crazy. And yet, sure, at times I drive you crazy too. But I simply can't imagine the path my life would take and where I'd be now if I hadn't met you. I'd never know when life is weary, laughter always finds a way. I'd never know the kind of friendship that grows stronger every day. I'd never know a church's family when you're standing next to me. I'd never learn to love so freely. I'd never learn to curb my ego. I'd never learn to smile so quickly or have fun everywhere that we go. I'd never learn that making music is lifting up a simple melody. If I hadn't met you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, I don't know who I'd be. Thank you.
I think that is the perfect song for today because we're going to get to meet 3 of our members and see how they first were introduced to unity. And isn't that true that they are different from being here and we are different for them being here? So thank you for that song, Jeff. That was great. So the first speaker that we have today is Marianne Gettman. She has served in many different capacities here at Unity of Kanawha Valley. Currently, she is one of our prayer chaplains. Her prayers are so heartfelt, and she's such an asset to the prayer chaplain team. But I'm looking forward to hearing how she came to find Unity of Kanawha Valley. So welcome, Marianne Gettman.
I'm going to have my water up here just in case. I got one. So where'd Barbie? Oh, there you are. Thank you, Barbie, for suggesting this. I think this is really great to be able to share from a lot of different people how we ended up here. In the early 80s, before UKV was founded, I was part of a group who met on Sunday afternoons at 2 o'clock at St. John's Episcopal Church. We sang some of the same songs that we sing here, like We Are One in the Spirit, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and many more. We love to sing. We led meditations and studied various metaphysical books, including, of course, Unity books. When I read that the founders of Unity Worldwide, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, believed in reincarnation, ooh, I was pretty excited. Definitely. There was an actual church that believed what I had believed for many years, the belief that God gives every soul infinite opportunities to achieve total perfection, and it takes a while. In 1981, David and I were fortunate to have a Unity minister, Rebecca Clark, officiate our wedding at Bream Presbyterian Church, where I grew up. Rebecca was working in Charleston, helping Mary Richmond launch the Charleston Light Center. The Light Center included metaphysical studies, meditation, workshops, and more. Due to Mary's health problems, it didn't last long. In 1987, Unity of Kanawha Valley was founded. The afternoon meetings at St. John's, where I had been attending, came to an end. Some of us started going to UKV, which began at the YWCA right across the street from St. John's, which was very convenient. However, I didn't attend long. My career as a massage therapist was expanding, and I was busy working, including some Sundays. I stopped going to church. Fast forward 18 years, when one of my clients, Jerry Ann Selby, who was on the Unity board at the time, believed that I would really like UKV. She said that Sky Kirshner was a wonderful speaker and that the music was absolutely amazing, starring Ron Soul and many others, great musicians. I decided to go that following Sunday. UKV at that time was in North Charleston on Blaine Boulevard. At first, I was a little self-conscious since I didn't have much hair due to chemo after having breast cancer. I remember having a warm welcome with friends from the past and meeting new like-minded souls from the present who became friends. I noticed New Age books on the shelves. They were definitely my kind of books. I felt at home and comfortable. After a short time, I decided to join. That was August 27, 2006. Linda Austin, Karen Sylvester, and I joined at the same time. We met with Sky, who asked us if we'd be willing to stand up and introduce ourselves and share why we decided to be a member of Unity. My immediate thought was, oh no, I don't want to do that. But it was over quickly, and I felt good afterwards. I had not even been a member for a year when a board member called me and asked if I would run to be on the board. Oh, God. I immediately said, no, thank you. Then she called back again, asking if I would consider being an alternate. She said that I wouldn't even have to go to the board meetings. Really? I finally agreed. However, during our second meeting, one of the board members resigned over a disagreement, so I was now an official board member, whether I wanted to be or not. The board president at the time was Matt Schwartz. Matt was determined to find a bigger building and different location for UKV. It did not take him long, and here we are in our church home. However, the building then hadn't been used for several years, and it looked and smelled like it. I was also obsessed about how much work it was going to take to make it usable since it was such a mess. I called the former pastor and talked to his wife, who told me that the last service that was held here before was a funeral. That wasn't the news I wanted to hear. I remember sleepless nights since I was concerned about how much the mortgage was going to be. Plus, our church on Blaine Boulevard was completely paid off, and now we needed to sell it. Wow. Okay. All the board members had to sign the legal documents. The question in my head was, if I sign these, would I personally be liable for any negative financial consequences? I was assured that would not be the case. And as you can tell, my fears have been unfounded. Thank God. Renovation has happened and is continuing to happen. The Blaine Boulevard Church was sold. Our mortgage here has been paid off. The manse called Unity House has been transformed with more to come. Thank you, Barbie and other workers. More young people have joined, which is wonderful. Fun nights have been added, which brings us together. The prayer chaplain group is a blessing, and I am grateful to be a part of that program. Our beautiful church continues to thrive. There are so many involved who share their time, their talents, and treasures. Our church continues to be a beacon of love and peace, and beautiful flowers too. And we are so grateful. The main unity teaching that resonates with me is that we are all one. And that's my email address, part of my email address. Several unity principles which I love are: 1, God is absolute good, always present. 2, human beings have a spark of divinity within and create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. 3, knowing and understanding the laws of life called truth are not enough. You must also live the truth. I believe that living the truth may take several lifetimes to accomplish. But don't worry, we are not being judged. All is in divine order, and God loves everyone unconditionally all the time without exception. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Ooh, I got a little teary during some of that. So the next person who is going to speak to us today is Sally Snyder. Sally is another one who has worn many hats here, And I think she joined the church the same week I did, as I remember, and because we were both former Toastmasters. But Sally is also part of the prayer chaplain team, and she is wonderful. So I shall turn it over to Sally. Let's welcome her.
Thank you. Whoopsie daisy. Now the comedy begins. Okay. My name is Sally Snyder, and I have lived in Charleston all of my life. I grew up in the First Presbyterian Church, and my father and my brother and I would go to church every Sunday. And I attended Sunday school and all of the different things that were going on there. And they were great. I learned so much. It's amazing when you're a little child how much the words from the Bible impress you, but you don't understand what they mean. My grandmother was a very religious lady. As she was going through her life, they were Lutherans. And my mother would go to church with her and her father. And my mother said, I was there every time the door opened. When I turn 18, I'm not going into a church. So the only time she went to church were funerals and weddings. And I swear to you, that was the truth. She never came to church with my dad and my brother. So it was just the three of us. And that was a great bonding. One of the things that I remember most about growing up with spiritual intervention and things of that nature, my grandmother was homebound, and she would sit in her living room and watch all of the ministers on TV. And I remember one commercial very well, Silent Unity. And it was such a big deal. It would come on in between, the show, whoever was speaking, and they would say, if you need to pray and you have no one to pray with, call this number. And I was always fascinated by that. I thought that was so interesting. So I don't know if I ever really called it, but it really stuck in my head. So it was something that first impressions of Silent Unity was prayer. It was so important. My story really is, though, about people along my path that have brought me here. When I was younger, to begin with, do you ever remember the first time you were ever conscious of life? Was there one thing that stuck out to you that when you, all of a sudden you opened your eyes, you were like, oh, wow, look around, where am I, And I was sitting on the ground in my front yard in Canal City where I first grew up. And I remember sitting on the ground, and all of a sudden, it was like this bright light came on. It was during the day. And I was like, where am I? I am serious. It was mind-boggling. And when it happened, I really paid attention. It was like a light came on. I didn't understand it, but I realized that I was in this world. And it really made a difference. A couple of years later, I'm taking a shower. We had moved to another home, and my parents had a big shower in their bathroom, and everybody wanted to take a shower in there, okay? So I'm in there taking the shower, and all of a sudden, I get this really strange feeling come over me, and I'm thinking, there's something I'm supposed to remember. This is something I'm supposed to know. And it's kind of like you sit there and you're like, come on, I want to hear this, and poof, it's gone. And you wouldn't believe how many times I got back in that shower waiting for that moment again. It was like, oh, I've got to know what this means. I've got to know what this means. So as I got a little bit older, I started thinking, okay, maybe it's God. Okay, let's investigate that. Let's figure out, who is this? What is this? I've been going to church, and we really learned the Bible. I mean, they went over and over all the, the different stories. And I had this really nice book my grandmother gave me. It's gold-leafed, and it had wonderful stories in it of, this just stories in the Bible. And I read it continuously. So all of that stuff was feeding into my mind. I just didn't realize how it was going to come out. So as I got, again, a little bit older, people started coming into my life that were leading me. One of the people that led me, of course, was my grandmother. She always said, oh, I'm always praying for you and all this, positive stuff. My dad was a very open-minded man. He helped as many people as he could. There was a man downtown that was lived on the street. My dad gave him the most beautiful cashmere coat, long coat to keep warm in the wintertime. Just, went and got him out of jail one night. He had called, and it was like 2:30 in the morning, and he said, Mr. Reed, I need your help. Can you come and get me? And he said, sure. Dad got up out of bed, went down to the magistrate court, bailed him out, took him to a hotel, put him in there, gave him some money, gave him a job later, cleaning up around the building that he had downtown. And my mother, we'd go downtown and drive through town, and she goes, there's that guy in your dad's coat. It really fits him well, doesn't it? And I mean, it was just one of those things. Another person who really made a difference in my life was Julia Sad. And some of you know Julia, she's passed. But she was the one who brought me to unity. All along, I had been reading all these books I had found from different sources. I went to a place we lived in Florida, and I went to this place called the Spiral Staircase. And they had all these spiritual books. So I'm looking around, and at that time, the Course in Miracles was a really big deal, or it was starting to come out. People were having meetings and talking about it. Well, I walk into the Spiral Staircase in Orlando, Florida, and all of these tapes by Marianne Williamson. And I bought every one they had. And when I would drive from Orlando to Charleston, I would listen to those all the way up the road. 12 hours in the car. And I would listen to them all the way back. I kept them in my car just constantly. So I worked for the Charleston newspapers and advertising. So while I'm driving around making my sales calls, I'm listening to all of this positive affirmation information. Marianne Williamson, all of these great speakers, just one thing after another about positive affirmation. So Julia, one afternoon, comes flying around the corner there on Hale Street, and we got to talking. She's in their big Lincoln Continental. If you remember her, she was a crazy, wild woman. And she had all these books she had bought, or not bought, but had picked up at the library. And I said, oh my God, Julia, you're reading all these books? I said, I've got that one and that one. She goes, you're a closet unity person? And I went, what do you mean? She goes, you've never been to Unity? And I said, no. I said, I've been looking for a church. I think I looked it up, but I don't know where Blaine Boulevard is. She goes, well, come and go with me. And I did, and that's how I met all of you all. It was over on Blaine Boulevard. And when I walked in, it was like, this is my place. this feels so like home. Sky was there, and I had met Sky through psychiatry because I was having problems, and I had been going to the Kanawha Pastoral Counseling Group for like years, and he showed up, and he was one of my counselors. So if I get over there, and I go, I know that man. He goes, how are you? And I went, I didn't expect to find you here. You know, I mean, it's crazy how people are put in your path. Another person that I knew, and Marianne knows very well, was Pam Dotson. She was Pam Serber, Pam Dotson, Pam Lynn. I mean, she's had several names. She's Pam Lynn now, but we used to swim against each other on swim team for the, Greater Charleston Swim Association. So I knew Pam. She was another friend of a good friend of mine, and we would sit and talk about all of this information that's being put out there about positive affirmation and, positive thinking and all of that. Another person I met was Ayla Chad. Ayla, I've been going to some of her programs. Ruth Davis was instrumental in Course in Miracles, and I miss her dearly. But it was just a journey. It really was a journey getting to here. And when I got here, it was like, this is my place. I enjoyed church to begin with, but when I would sit there and listen to Dr. Benfield, he could, most of you know how big First Presby is. He didn't need a microphone. This man was 6'6" or 7", and he could talk as loud as he could, and there was no, I don't think there was a microphone in there. He just bellowed it out. And it was very, very refreshing to come here and find people that understood what I felt like. And as I grew up, I had a wonderful mixture of Protestant, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, all of the different religions. There's so many of my friends were Catholic and Jewish, and I never could understand why the rest of the world was so against Jewish people. I'm like, there's nothing, they're just like us. What you know about religion is the same thread runs through all of us. Love yourself, love your neighbor, do the best you can. I mean, they're all the same. And when I was in college at UC, Morris Harvey at that time, I took a class in world religion, and it just reinforced that. So, of course, it was something that really meant a lot to me. Another thing that happened to me was going to the grocery store in Kanawha City. There was a Foodland, and it's Piggly Wiggly now. But anyway, there was a little book on the stand, because they used to sell magazines, called The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And I would pick that up and read it, like from cover to cover. I couldn't wait for the next edition. So there again was another set of same thoughts, same feelings, trying to get the message across. So again, all of those things brought me here. Something you probably don't know. One of the other things I used to do was watch a lot of the other speakers on TV. T.D. Jakes from Charleston. He was one of my clients at the newspaper, and I didn't know who he was, and he wasn't anybody important at that point, other than he had a church. And as he got bigger and bigger, it was like, oh, I used to call on T.D. Jakes. In fact, I had to collect money from him one day, and I was scared to death. I thought, oh, he's going to, blow up all over me. And he said, give the lady her money. No problem. Sorry, I didn't pay my bill. Didn't realize. I also listened to Robert Schuller and Charles Stanley. I thought they were very positive. That was the Crystal Cathedral, Robert Schuller's Crystal Cathedral was beautiful. I'll tell you something else you probably don't know, that Della Reese was a unity minister, ordained unity minister. And the TV show on Hallmark called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, where they work for the postal company or for the post office, and they find lost mail and take it and find the people because it's so important they get that letter. That was part of what she created on that show. The original had been Touched by an Angel. You may have seen that show. But Della Reese was one of us. She was an ordained minister, unity minister. My principle that stands out to me is through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth. And that, to me, that's number 3 on our list of unity principles. I like all of the unity principles, but that one to me stands out. Another thing that was important to me that stood out through Course in Miracles, and it really makes you think. This, I think, is something that really resonated with me. When you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. As you see him, you will see yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in him you will find yourself or lose yourself. Know thyself. So that's my journey. That's how I got here. I'm happy. I'm whole. I'm working every day to do everything I can to help others. That's one of the reasons that I joined the prayer group. That has been, to any of you who want to learn more about unity, join our prayer chaplain groups. We study the books, we think about it, we pray about it, we bring everything we can so that we can help you. We want to help you further your journey, get to a place where you feel good. If you're having issues, we just want to pray with you and give you hope. It's all about hope and love and knowing that everything happens for a reason, divine order. This past week, I was at a conference with the West Virginia Rural Health Association. These people that were there are working with rural West Virginia. How difficult it is for them to get medicine, help, positivity, all the things that these poor people need to make their lives better. And everyone there has the same feeling. We're there to give hope, we're there to give love and assistance. And they do care. There's a lot of really nice, caring people in the world. So keep that in mind. I appreciate you. I love you all. And if you ever need someone to pray with, ask myself or the prayer chaplains. We're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And to show you what a small world it is, she mentioned Pam Lynn. She's my landlady, lives right next door to me. Now, before the service started today, I asked the next speaker, I said, how do you want me to introduce you? He says, you don't need to. So I am going to introduce the man who needs no introduction, Harry Mills. Welcome him to the stage, please.
Thank you. All I wanted was my name, and she got it. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I want to thank Barbie for recruiting me at one of her transition meetings, and she talked to me about what I could do to help, and then next thing I know, she came over and shoved this in my face. And it says, how did you find your way to unity? And what unity principles or teachings have a special place in your heart, and why? That could be a long one. And so as time progressed, I began putting together some thoughts, and by gosh, Barbie sent me a reminder text to tell me that I was going to be here. And so I responded to her, and I said, Barbie, thank you for your reminder. Yes, I've been preparing for my short talk, and I'm writing to say I hope that I don't disappoint you, because I really don't have anything much to say about the principles. On the other hand, I have a lot to say about how I found UKV and why I have been coming here for 16 years. Please let me know if that fits. And she responded immediately. Harry, your comments seem to be in line with one of the unity principle foundational principles, and that unity is supportive of each person's unique spiritual journey. Love and acceptance are fundamental principles. I'm guessing that you have been around for 16 years because you feel you belong, i.e., loved and accepted just the way you are. That is what unity is all about. So, of course, it fits. Barbie, thank you for taking care of that half of my speech. You're really a great ghostwriter, don't you think? So that leaves me the other part. Listening to what you had to say about being exposed to different religions and so on, I'd like to make a short disclaimer. And that is, people feel very strongly about their religion and their spirituality. It's in their souls, it's in their minds, it can be very private, and people can be very possessive about it. So in telling you about some of the things that I've experienced along the way, I've kind of, for this talk, erased the negatives that might have come up in my mind that might have encouraged me to change from one group to another. Because certainly I do not want to offend anybody. I think people are welcome, in my mind, everybody's welcome to whatever kind of a spirituality or religion that they choose, so long as it's not mean to other people. So that being said, I'd like to start from the beginning. And here's the beginning. This little guy. Thank you very much. I'd like to pass. What? It is I. At about almost to diaper from the diaper, but anyway, that's the first the diaper. But at any rate, that was my baby picture. And my parents, when I was a war baby, born in 1943, and my parents moved to just outside Warrenton, Virginia, shortly after I was born, when I was about 4 months old. I'd been born just outside of Chicago, in Evanston. And my mother wanted me to be christened in the Episcopal Church. And there was a problem. She wasn't an Episcopalian. My father wasn't anything. He was a very spiritual guy. I miss him every day. And he never had a religion in his background, and chose not to all of his life. But he was very spiritual. So the problem was, who was going to hold me when I was about that age, a little baby? And I had to be held by an official Episcopalian. So they came up with Huey Spillman. And Huey Spillman was a family friend who was long on charisma and character and charm, but very short on ambition. And Huey had been a teller at the Fauquier National Bank, which was directly across the street from the Warren Green Hotel. Why is this important? Because you're waving your hands back there. Something, Frank, you were... Oh, thank you. I thought you knew about the Warren Green Hotel and what goes on there. So the Warren Green Hotel had a very famous resident at one point, and that was Wallace Warfield Simpson, who was living in Warrenton to have her Virginia residency set up because she was getting divorced. And she went on to become the Duchess of Windsor and completely messed up the royal family and married the prince and who would have been king. And so, and Uncle Huey was her boyfriend when she lived at the hotel. He really was. And I asked him. Anyway, so I was held by Uncle Huey. I called him Uncle Huey, and there I became a christened member of the church. But I was never confirmed. So fast forward a few years to elementary school in Warrenton, and in those days we had Bible study classes, which were, of course, were ruled as being illegal. And there was a very lovely lady who came by once a week, and gave us Bible study classes. And she was very nice, but it was obvious that she was basically a Southern Baptist, and so I got exposed to that side of religion. And then I was sent off to boarding school at the age of 12. They wanted to get me out of the house. They said it was because I was beginning to sound like a redneck. My mother had grown up in New York, my dad in New Jersey and Connecticut, and I was just, hi, y'all, how you doing? So they packed me off to Woodbury Forest School at the age of 12. Woodbury, although it claimed at the time to be non-sectarian, had an Episcopal minister on the payroll. It has a beautiful chapel on the grounds, and our chapel requirements were to go 3 times a week: Sunday for a full service, Tuesday for a shortened service, Thursday for another shortened service, and the Sunday meeting was preceded with a Bible study class. And if you want to go on Wednesday, you can do that too. So that was a pretty heavy dose, and at the age of 13, I thought I'd like to be a minister. Can you imagine? I mean, this is as close as I'm ever going to get. So then my family moved on to Cleveland, and at that point, we kind of lost things. My parents had really been, my mother became an Episcopalian, and she'd been with the Dutch Reformed Church, as I mentioned before. And so they were basically Easter, Christmas, weddings, and funerals. So they weren't unknown there. I think my mother belonged to one of the committees, but that was about it. And when we went to Cleveland, all that sort of disappeared. We thought we were going to be there forever, and a big recession hit, so we were only there 4 years. And we came back, and I ended up wanting to get back to Virginia, went to UVA. And I was doing anything but going to church when I was going to UVA. I had a great time with the fraternity, though. Lovely time. Still have some of the friends. And then as life progressed, I was married twice, 14 years each, both of those in the Episcopal Church, one in Washington, D.C. A friend of mine was a minister candidate when I first met him. He got me lined up with a minister for the first wedding. My second wedding was back in Warrenton, but I married a gal here from Charleston, West Virginia, whom I met at a cocktail party. Where else do you go to meet people? And we had as someone said to me who used to belong to this church, Harry, your religious experiences have been very colorful, and I would certainly agree with that. And so here we are. I ended up getting divorced. I've been living here in 4 years. This is 1997. And I've become a member of St. John's, although not a confirmed member. And I liked it, but my former family was there, and it was a little awkward for a while to go to the same church and sit right down the pew from them. Although my mother-in-law and I had a very lovely relationship until she died at the age of 99. And so I bounced around a little bit and went to UU for a while. And then I joined a group that was kind of came out of the Episcopal Church. Sky Kirshner and Kathleen Du Bois, and now Kathleen Dubois, and Sally Barton, who was in here a few months ago. And we were doing an informal book study. And the books were The Secret and Think and Grow Rich. And that was about it. Those two stand out in mine. And Kathleen was a motivational person, and she wrote her own book, which came out about 2 years later. And she lives in the D.C. area now, up there in Loudoun County, and is working for a large accounting firm going around the countryside. But Kathleen called me up one day, and she said, Harry, Sky has asked me to be a speaker at Unity over on Blaine Avenue. She said, I don't know anybody. Would you be willing to come and be a friendly face in the audience? And I said, sure, I'd be glad to. So I went. I know it gets rough, Colton. I said I'd be happy to do that. So I went over, and I never came back, except to come over here. And that was 16 years ago. So I think it would be, the other part is, what do I like about Unity Church? What keeps me here all these years? And I've broken this down into categories of services, fun editions, specials, and most of all. The services, Sky's services were always interesting, often unexpected, sometimes spontaneous, very spontaneous. The other speakers have been really good, and they've really put their hearts into it. I mean, you can tell. The music department, you can't beat it. Thank you guys so much for what you do. Ron is an incredible guy. If you've never been to his open mic downstairs, you ought to do it. Last week, you had a big crowd there. It was sort of back to pre-COVID times again. The readings of the meditations, the daily word, the Zoom services, both here and during COVID, they were really essential in my life. And I also, in the music department, by the way, I would love to see Amanda Bridget again and Ryan Kennedy, if we can get them back at least for a visit. I think that would be fun. I really like both of them. They became personal friends here, too. And then the ending circle, which we will be approaching. I think it's 2 minutes over at time here. But then the fun additions, potluck meals. We have one waiting for us downstairs. Fun Fridays, they have been a lot of fun. We've had the Blue West Falls karaoke, and Peggy was very part of that. That was fun. I actually could get up and croak at people. It was great. And the Enneagram, back in the special things, the Enneagrams. Oh, by the way, I got cleaned up one time for a sound bath. That was fun. And when we had film night, too, and that's something we might want to consider putting back into fun night. And my favorite movie was Andy Griffith becoming an old fellow, checking into the nursing home with his copious supply of Viagra pills. I couldn't believe I'm sitting here at church, and there's Andy, the guy, he was very popular. He really was. It was a funny show. And the Enneagram papers here, the Sky's Introduction of Nonviolent Communications. And I ended up going to Columbus and Cincinnati a number of times. I made a couple of really close friends, the people over there. I went to both of the Unity churches in Columbus and Cincinnati. And no, I won't make a comparison, but you'd know where you were if you were over there. And the main thing, though, the most of all, is, as you indicated, the people here. You all are just great, and it makes me feel very much at home. And as you say, take me as I am. I hope so. But you don't know everything, though. And for all of you, I am very grateful. That's it.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you. Isn't it true that the people here is what makes this church a loving place? So I would ask the ushers to come forward. Unity of Kanawha Valley is a tithing church, and this month 10% of everything we take in is going out to Sojourner Shelter to help those families who are going through a hard time. So you'll find the offering blessing on the inside of your bulletin. So let's repeat that together. Divine love, moving in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, I trust God, and I am grateful.
I want to sit down for this. Is that okay? Have you ever heard a song and thought, that was written for me? That was written about me? Well, I was reminded of a song that was written about me with some experiences I had in the early 90s. And it was released in March of 1989 by Bonnie Raitt. And I was reminded of that song this past week. I was starting to travel quite a bit, and that was about the time I picked up and relocated to another area. And I developed some friends. I developed some women friends who were in their 30s that were pondering whether it's time to start a family or not. It was also a time where I was noticing my folks were getting older. And then it was also during a time that I was out there alone. And the third verse of the song, I found love just in the nick of time. It wasn't a romantic love, it was a different kind of love. And if you guys saw Bonnie this past week, she mentioned that third verse, and she mentioned it wasn't a romantic love she found. And I thought, okay, it was the same experiences, so I just thought I'd pull it back out. I haven't done it since the 90s, so we'll just see what happens. I hope you enjoy this. A friend of mine, she cries at night, and she calls me on the phone. Sees babies everywhere she goes, and she wants one of her own. She's waited long enough, she says, but still he can't decide. Pretty soon she will have to choose, and it tears her up inside. She's scared she'll run out of time. I see my folks are getting on, and I watch their bodies change. I know they see the same in me, and it makes us both feel strange. No matter how you tell yourself is what we all go through. Those lines look pretty hard to take when they're staring back at you. I'm scared you'll run out of time. When did the choices get so hard? When there's so much left at stake. Life gets pretty precious when there's less of it to waste. Scared you run out of time. When I thought I had enough and all my tears were shed, no promise left unbroken, there were no painful words unsaid. You came along and showed me I could leave it all behind. You opened up my heart again, and then much to my surprise, I found love just in the nick of time. I found love. I found love. I found Thank you.
Chris? Oh, there it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jim. So at this time, we settle into our heart space. We allow that space to open, and we feel gratitude for all the speakers today who so willingly shared their stories, which encourage us. We are grateful for every gift and offering that enables this church to remain a beacon of light, love, and peace. This is a time of sharing. This is a time of encouragement. And this is a time where we are free to be whoever we are. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Now, if you will give these to a board member, and if everyone would like to stand and make a circle. I don't know of any birthdays. I am the prayer chaplain this week, so I'll be hanging out over here if anyone would like a short prayer before the potluck. Okay, is anybody? Yeah, we got to have a short prayer because we got to get down to the potluck. Okay, any birthdays or anniversaries? Okay, well, let's just go ahead and do our peace song.